Good day, everyone. I am Zara May Chodoro together with Alexandra Nicole Fernandez, and we will be discussing about Chapter 3, Nature of Project-Based and Problem-Based Approaches in Language Acquisition. First, let's define language acquisition. Language acquisition, it refers to the process through which humans acquire the ability to understand and communicate using language. This typically occurs in infancy and early childhood, but can also happen later in life. It involves learning the sounds, words, grammar, and rules of a language, as well as the ability to comprehend and produce meaningful speech and writing. Language acquisition can occur through natural exposure, formal instruction, or a combination of both. It means that language acquisition happens naturally when individuals are exposed to a language and interact with others who speak it. While young children pick up language effortlessly through daily interaction, adults often need structured learning. This process is not just about memorizing words, but also about understanding how language works in different situations, including pronunciation, sentence structure, and meaning. Next is project-based approach. A project-based approach is an instructional methodology where learning is organized around the completion of a project. Students engage in real-world, hands-on tasks that require them to apply knowledge and skills from various subjects to solve problems or create a product. This approach fosters collaboration, critical thinking, and creativity while providing a context for learning that is meaningful and relevant to students' lives. It means that project-based approach makes learning more engaging by allowing students to work on meaningful tasks instead of simply listening to lecture or memorizing facts. By actively participating in real-world projects, students not only gain knowledge but also develop essential life skills such as teamwork, problem solving, and adaptability. This approach ensures that learning is not just theoretical but also practical and applicable to everyday life. Next is the characteristics of project-based learning. First is the authentic projects. Authentic projects are tasks or activities that simulate real-world challenges or scenarios, providing students with opportunities to apply their knowledge and skills in contexts that mirror authentic experiences. These projects often have real-world relevance and significance, helping students see the practical applications of their learning. In short, authentic projects, students work on tasks that reflect real-life situations, making learning more relevant and applicable to everyday experiences. The next characteristic of project-based learning is collaborative inquiry. Collaborative inquiry refers to the process of students working together in groups or teams to investigate a question, problem, or topic of interest. Through collaboration, students can share ideas, perspectives, and resources, fostering deeper understanding and richer learning experiences. This approach encourages communication, teamwork, and the exchange of diverse viewpoints, ultimately leading to more comprehensive solutions and outcomes. In short, collaborative inquiry learning happens through teamwork where students share ideas, ask questions, and solve problems together. The last characteristics of project-based learning is the interdisciplinary integration, which involves the blending of multiple academic subjects or disciplines within the context of a project. This approach recognizes that real-world problems and tasks often require knowledge and skills from various fields. By integrating different subjects, students gain a holistic understanding of the topic and can make connections across different domains of knowledge. In short, interdisciplinary integration projects combine knowledge from different subjects like science, history, and math, helping students make connections across various academic fields. Next is the benefits of problem-based learning and language acquisition. The first one is the authentic language practices. It refers to the opportunities for students to use the target language in meaningful and realistic contexts. Through project-based learning, students engage in tasks and activities that require them to communicate, negotiate meaning, and express ideas using the target language in ways that resemble real-life situations. This authentic gauge practice helps students develop their language skill in a natural and immersive environment. In short, authentic language practices students use language in real-world situations, improving communication skills naturally. The next benefits of project-based learning and language acquisition is contextual learning. It involves acquiring knowledge and skills within the context of authentic situations or scenarios. In project-based learning, language acquisition occurs in the context of completing a project where students are motivated to use the target language to achieve specific goals or objectives related to the project. By learning language within meaningful contexts, students develop a deeper understanding of how language is used and its relevance to real-world situations. In short, contextual learning is a learning happens within meaningful situations, making it easier for students to understand and remember new language concepts. The next benefits is critical thinking skills. Project-based learning fosters the development critical thinking skills by engaging students in complex, open-ended tasks that require analysis, evaluation, and problem solving. As students work on projects, they must think critically about the language they use, the information they gather, and the decision they make to effectively communicate and achieve project goals. This process encourages students to think deeply, consider multiple perspectives, and make informed decisions, thereby enhancing their language proficiency and cognitive abilities. In short, critical thinking skills, students develop problem solving and analytical skills as they work on complex tasks that require them to use language effectively. The last benefits of project-based learning and language acquisition is interdisciplinary connections. Project-based learning promotes interdisciplinary connections by integrating language acquisition with other academic subjects or disciplines. Projects often require students to research, analyze, and communicate information across multiple content areas such as science, social studies, or mathematics using the target language. In short, interdisciplinary connections, projects incorporate language learning with other subjects, helping students expand their knowledge while improving their language abilities. The next one is problem-based approach, which will be tackled by Alexandra Nicole Fernandez.
And now let's proceed to problem-based approach. The problem-based approach is a learning method centered on presenting students with real-world problems or challenges that require critical thinking, inquiry, and problem skills, which are essential for language acquisition as well as for lifelong learning and problem solving in various contexts. This is an educational method that immerses students in real-world issues or challenges. This approach encourages learners to think critically, ask questions, and solve problems. Through this process, students enhance their language acquisition and gain valuable skills that can be applied in different situations throughout their lives. And there are two characteristics of this approach. First one is the language application, which refers to the ability of students to use the target language effectively to communicate ideas, express opinions, and solve problems. In problem based learning, students apply their language skills in authentic ways as they collaborate with peers, present findings, and propose solutions to real world problems. This application of language in meaningful context helps students develop linguistic competence and confidence in using the target language in different situations. So this means students utilize their language skills to communicate, collaborate, and solve problems. By working on real world challenges, they practice and refine their language abilities, gaining both competence and confidence. This method ensures that language learning is integrated into meaningful activities, making it more relevant and effective to students. Next is the collaborative learning. Collaborative learning involves students working together in groups or teams to achieve common goals or solve problems. In problem based learning, collaborative learning is often integral to the process, as students collaborate with peers to analyze problems, brainstorm ideas, and develop solutions. Through collaboration, students not only enhance their language skills through interaction and communication, but also develop important social and interpersonal skills such as teamwork, negotiation, and leadership. Collaborative learning fosters a supportive learning environment where students can learn from each other's perspectives and experiences, leading to deeper understanding and knowledge construction. So, collaborative learning is a method where students work together in groups to achieve shared goals or solve problems. In problem based learning, collaboration is very essential. By fostering a supportive learning environment, collaborative learning allows students to learn from one another, leading to a deeper understanding of the subject matter and the construction of new knowledge. Let's move to the comparison between problem-based approach and project-based approach. In problem-based approach, it focuses on solving a specific problem or addressing a challenge. It requires fewer resources, making them more accessible and feasible for implementation. Problems usually presented by a teacher or emerge from real-world situations. Problems may be simpler and more focused, targeting specific concepts or skills. Assessment is based on critical thinking, research, and solution development. Lastly, problems can typically be resolved within a shorter time frame. So in problem-based approach, they tend to be simpler and more focused, targeting specific concepts or skills. So the assessment in this approach is based on critical thinking, research, and solution development, and problems can typically be resolved within a shorter time frame. In project-based approach, it focuses on completing a project. It may originate from the teacher, curriculum, or students. It emphasizes the final product or presentation as the primary mode of assessment. Projects usually require more time to complete, spanning days, weeks, or even months. So this approach has a broader scope encompassing multiple concepts and skills. The primary mode of assessment is the final product of or presentation, and projects usually take longer to complete. Both approaches offer unique benefits. With a problem-based approach, it provides quick, focused learning opportunities, and in the project-based approach, it allows in-depth exploration and comprehensive skills development. And that is all for the project-based approach and the problem-based approach. The next topic will be tackled by Miss Lylene Fabro.
So, for the next discussion, we will be tackled about the chapter 4, or the writing a project-based, problem-based learning plan. For the part 1, I am Lighting Joy and Fabro, and I'll be discuss the parts of a learning plan. So, what is a learning plan? Learning plan is a structured organization of the strategies, techniques, and even activities that the teacher will use to evaluate and measure the student's performance and content knowledge. According to Savory from 2006, this will serve a learning roadmap for the teachers. Furthermore, the teacher will align his or her strategies and techniques in a present curriculum. A well developed learning plan ensures that instruction is aligned with curriculum standards, meets the needs of diverse learners, and promotes effective learning. Through this, the teacher will guide them to observe the student's learning on the teacher's desired outcome. So it says that a learning plan acts as a detailed guide for teachers, outlining how they will assess student understanding and mastery of the subject matter. It incorporates various teaching methods and activities to effectively measure student progress. This plan serves as a roadmap, ensuring teachers stay aligned with the curriculum while catering to the different learning needs of students. By following a well structured learning plan, teachers can ensure that their instruction meets educational standards and promotes successful learning outcomes. Ultimately, it enables teachers to monitor student learning and achieve desired educational goals. Then let's proceed to the components of a learning plan. For number one, the learning objectives clearly define goals that students are expected to achieve. These are the clearly defined goals that students are expected to achieve by the end of a lesson or unit. Learning objectives should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound or the SMART. They guide the selection of content, activities, and assessments. Well written learning objectives help students understand what is expected of them and provide a clear target for their learning efforts. They also enable teachers to track students' progress and evaluate the effectiveness of their instruction. Next is the content, the topics, themes, and materials that will be covered. This includes the topics, themes, and materials that will be covered in the learning plan. The content should be aligned with the learning objectives and be appropriate for the student's age, background, knowledge, and learning styles. It should be organized logically and presented in a way that is engaging and accessible to students. The content may include a variety of resources such as textbooks, articles, videos, and interactive simulations. Effective content selection ensures that students have the necessary information and knowledge to meet the learning objectives. Next is the activities, the instructional strategies, tasks, and experience that will help students reach the objectives. Activities should be varied and engaging, and they should provide opportunities for students to interact with the content and with each other. Example of activities includes lectures, discussions, group work, projects, and hands-on experiments. Well-designed activities promotes active learning and help students develop critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and collaboration skills. They also cater to different learning styles and keep students motivated and involved in learning process. Next is the assessment. The methods used to evaluate students' learning and provide feedback. Assessments can be formative or ongoing or summative or the end of unit. Formative assessments such as quizzes and class discussions help teachers monitor student progress and adjust instructions as needed. Summative assessments such as tests and projects evaluate student learning at the end of a unit. Effective assessment provides valuable feedback for both students and teachers, informing future instruction and guiding student learning. And lastly, the resources, the materials, technology, and other resources needed to implement the plan. Resources may include textbooks, worksheets, manipulative computers, software, and online tools. It is important to ensure that resources are readily available and that teachers and students are trained in their use. The appropriate use of resources can enhance the learning experience and support student achievement. So that's the components of a learning plan. And now we are moving on to the steps in making a learning plan. A good learning plan must follow the steps in order for the teacher to have a good implementation of how the strategies would be used in a lesson discussion to get the certain outcomes. However, there are some situations that it will not be met, and the good resolution for this is that the teacher will use scaffolding methods to give support the learner's progress. Here are the steps involved in creating a learning plan. Number 1. Identify learning objectives. Clearly define the knowledge, skills, and attitudes that students are expected to acquire at the end of the learning process. This initial step involves clearly defining what students should know, understand, and be able to do by the end of the lesson or course. Well-defined learning objectives serve as a roadmap for both the teacher and the students, guiding the selection of content, design of activities, and creation of assessments. They should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound or the SMART. Clearly stated objectives help ensure that the learning experience is focused and purposeful, maximizing its impact on student learning outcomes. By establishing these objectives, educators set the stage for effective teaching and learning. Number 2 is analyze learners. Consider the student's prior knowledge, learning styles, and needs to tailor the learning plan accordingly. Understanding the learners is crucial for effective instruction. This step requires teachers to consider students' prior knowledge, learning styles, needs, and interests. Analyzing learners help teachers tailor their instruction to meet the diverse needs of their students. This may involve gathering information about students' backgrounds, academic strengths, and weaknesses and preferred learning methods. By understanding the learners, teacher can create a more engaging and effective learning experience. This analysis ensures that the learning plan is relevant and accessible to all students. Number 3 is select content. Choose the topic, themes, and materials that will be covered in the learning plan. Choosing the right content is essential for achieving the learning objectives. This step involves selecting topics, themes, and materials that are relevant, engaging, and aligned with the curriculum standards. The content should be appropriate for the student age, development level, and prior knowledge. It should also be organized in a logical and coherent manner to facilitate understanding. Careful selection of content ensures that students are exposed to meaningful and valuable information. This step is critical in shaping the overall learning experience. Number 4. Design learning activities. Develop engaging and effective instructional strategies, tasks, and experiences to help students achieve the learning objectives. This step focuses on creating engaging and effective instructional strategies, tasks, and experiences. Activities should be designed to help students actively participate in the learning process and achieve the learning objectives. They should be varied, interactive, and cater to different learning styles. Effective learning activities promote critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration. By designing well structured activities, teacher can create a dynamic and stimulating learning environment. This step is crucial for making learning enjoyable and impactful. Number 5. Create assessments. Determine the methods that will be used to evaluate student learning and provide feedback. Assessments are used to evaluate student learning and provide feedback. This step involves determining the methods that will be used to assess student progress, such as tests, quizzes, projects, and presentations. Assessments should be aligned with the learning objectives and provide meaningful information about student understanding. They should also be fair, reliable, and valid. Effective assessments help teachers identify areas where students are excelling and areas where they need additional support. This step is essential for monitoring student progress in informing instructional decisions. For number 6 is the gather resources. Identify the materials, technology, and other resources needed to implement the learning plan. This step involves identifying and collecting the materials, technology, and other resources needed to implement the learning plan. Resources may include textbooks, articles, videos, websites, and hands on materials. Teachers should ensure that resources are readily available and appropriate for the learning activities. Gathering resources in advance helps ensure a smooth and efficient learning experience. And for number 7, the review and revise. Review the learning plan to ensure that it is aligned with curriculum standards, meets the needs of diverse learners, and promotes effective learning. Make revisions as needed. The final step involves reviewing the learning plan to ensure that it is aligned with curriculum standards, meets the needs of diverse learners, and promotes effective learning. Teachers should seek feedback from students and colleagues and make revisions as needed. Regular review and revision help ensure that the learning plan remains relevant, engaging, and effective. This step is essential for continuous improvement and ensuring the best possible learning outcomes for students. And that's all for the discussion of parts of a learning plan.
Good day, everyone. I am Joanne Toralba, and my discussion is entitled Developing Learning Plan Integrating ICT from the Identified Language Competencies. Three of the recent active learning approaches introduced to enhance the teaching learning processes are inquiry based learning, problem based learning, and the project based learning. So let us first discuss the inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning is simply defined as a process of asking a question. We have here the four types of inquiry. The first one is the structured inquiry. This lets the students follow the lead of the teacher as the entire class engages one inquiry together. So structured inquiry is highly teacher-directed approach. It follows the teacher's lead in a single inquiry. The second one is the controlled inquiry. The teacher chooses the topic and identifies the resources that the students use to answer questions. So the teacher selects the topics and identifies the resources students will use to answer questions. Students' autonomy is limited. The third one is guided inquiry. The teacher chooses the topics or questions and the students design the product solution. So, students have more freedom in their approach. The last one is the free inquiry. Students are allowed to choose their own topics without any reference to prescribed outcome. So, students independently choose their topics without any prescribed outcomes or teacher guidance. This is the most student-centered approach. The next one is problem-based learning. Problem-based learning is an approach that involves a process of inquiry and solving open-ended questions that serve as the main problem that the learners will work on. This type of questions posited is focused on a specific content standard and its application to real issues. It also requires more than one answer or solution. Learners are engaged in a collaborative task as they work towards the solution to the problem. And the last one is the project-based learning. Project-based learning is an approach that has evolved as a teaching method that engages learners in a series of planned tasks resulting to the generation of solutions to real-world problems. It is a student-centered approach as it takes into account the realm, experiences, and interests of students. Project-based learning, or the PBL, is a pedagogical approach where students learn by actively engaging in complex, real-world projects. Instead of passively receiving information, students define a problem or challenge, conduct research, design solutions, and present their findings. The projects are usually open-ended, allowing for multiple approaches and solutions, encouraging creativity and collaboration. PBL often involves in-depth investigation. So in here, students delve deeply into a topic, going beyond surface level understanding. Another one is the real-world application. So here, projects are designed to address real-world problems or issues, making learning relevant and engaging. To conclude, inquiry-based learning, problem-based learning, and project-based learning are all student-centered pedagogical approaches that emphasizes active learning and deep understanding rather than memorization. And that's it for our report. We hope you found it helpful. Thanks for watching.